Test, test. Hello. Please take a seat, everybody. Be nice, sit your butts. That's in 5 months, but thanks. You're too early. No, you're all too early. Come on. One thing at a time. So, all right, everyone get comfortable because we got our first awesome panel for this year's Hearthwarming Con. And it's a biggie because we got the voice actor panel next. Are you excited? Sweet. We have 3 wonderful guests that you've already seen on the screen, but you haven't gotten to really talk to them yet this time. So I'm not going to babble for too long because that's not my job here this time. That is their job. So before we do that, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown how we'll do the whole question and answer thing. If you've been to GalaCon, if you've been to Hearthwarming Con, any of those conventions, you get the general idea. But I'm still going to give you the rundown so we know what's up. We have 2 microphones here and here. At those microphones, you can queue to ask questions to our lovely, illustrious guests that will be introduced to you in just a short moment. The questions can be anything you like, but there is a few caveats because we want to keep this fun for everybody. Obviously, don't ask anything weird, creepy, family unfriendly, I think that's common sense, but I always like to just make sure everyone's on the same page. If it's something you wouldn't ask someone you respect a lot in general, you should probably not ask it here either. Because remember, these are awesome people who love all the fandom, but they're still, people who have a certain degree of standards, so please respect that. Don't ask them about things that have to do with leaks or with G6, because if it's something that they are involved with, they would not be allowed to tell us. So don't do that. 5, 6, whatever. Numbers. The thing after 4. I'm bad at numbers. Didn't I mention that science is something I suck at, right? That includes numbers. Number go up, number go down, I don't know. The point is nothing about upcoming stuff and nothing about leaked stuff because that's all kind of, again, in a legal zone that we don't want to, bother with. You can ask about past work they've done. You can ask about the interests. You can ask about their careers. You can ask all that sort of cool stuff that you're interested in. Just, keep it friendly, keep it fun. Think of something interesting if you can, just something that you think, oh, cool, maybe that's something different, or I thought of something specific that I'm curious about. Don't hesitate to ask. We have volunteers here and here who will check with you. Yep, they're there. They're awesome people. They will check with you just to make sure that your question is cool and good. And if it's cool and good, you will get to ask it. So without further ado, let's say hello to Claire Collette. Let's say hello to Gabriel Brown. And let's say hello to Lisa Mine. So, just to give you a general idea of who these wonderful people are, do you want to say a word? Do you want me to introduce you? I'll take any excuse to talk, but maybe you wanted an excuse to talk.
I don't have a... Hello, I'm Gabriel Brown. The end.
Things that make noises.
I think I messed up the seating arrangement. I'm sorry. What are we saying?
Words.
Hi, words. My name's Claire. Is that it? Did I do it?
That was beautiful.
Yes, can I speak here? Yes, you can hear me. My name is Lise Mijn, and I'm the Dutch voice actress of Fluttershy.
Woo!
I'm so thankful to be able to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So, as you've seen, Gabe is awesome. He does singing. He will later perform in his concert later tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So you should definitely come for that.
I'll be there.
From animation, songs, and generally putting his voice in things that will make him do that. He is awesome at it, so be sure to check that out. Ask him, if you want, ask him about his animations, ask him about what else he's done outside of this wild fandom.
Yeah.
I learned that he likes flying.
I love flying.
I literally had no idea, but he showed me a video, and he's like, woo. Awesome. Ask him about that. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Claire's been with him, apparently, right?
I have.
Yes. See?
Twice.
Ask her about that, too. It's cool. It's really awesome. Claire's awesome. Claire apparently recently moved to LA. That's extremely fantastic.
Yes. Oh, that was really loud. Sorry. But yes.
That's extremely exciting. She's doing all sorts of cool stuff at the moment, and I'm sure she's allowed to talk about at least some of that. So definitely ask her.
Yes.
Good. And Lisa mine, I did not have the pleasure of meeting before, but I learned she does all sorts of awesome stuff. She is not just a voice actress. She actually comes from a background of classic opera singing. That's what she originally went to school for. So definitely ask her stuff about that. That's not something I've had, again, the pleasure of meeting before. She also does calligraphy. Like, I'm not like just not just like sometimes as a hobby. She does it extremely well. Her work has been featured as part of the Golden Globes in the United States. So, extremely cool.
Guys, we're in the presence of a celebrity, a real celebrity.
And some of her work will be in the charity auction tomorrow. If you want to just have a little look at that,
I want to look at it.
you can have a look at it.
We
Wow.
have.
Please tell everyone how cool that looks. Because it really does look extremely cool.
Wow. We have a light that shines within us that we were always meant to share.
This is handwritten. My handwriting cannot be read.
That is so pretty.
It's very pretty.
So her art, writing is an art, so that's going to be in the charity auction. So be sure to ask about that as well. She, for a while, ran an animation studio. So she's really done it all. Honestly, Lisa mine is definitely a very all-rounder talent. So seriously, you can ask her just about anything. Chances are she'll have something to say about it. So do not hesitate. And I see we have a bunch of questions already, so I don't need to stall any further. That's my job tomorrow. So we might as well start over here with the wonderful person with the cat ears. Hello.
Oh God, let's sing us up high. Hello, how do you prepare for the songs, My Little Pony, and what are the stages you go through?
So is that question for all three of them?
Yes.
So how, we can start with Gabe and then just kind of work our way down. How do you prepare for singing on the show, and what kind of steps are there to it?
So typically I'll get like an email from Daniel Ingram, and he'll send the, score. And sometimes there's a demo to listen to as well, to kind of be like, oh, this is kind of what we're hoping to recreate, but like on a more professional level. And then, so I'll listen to that a few times and try to learn it. And then show up usually in the morning at the studio, and we'll go through the song a few times. And we typically don't record it all in one pass. We'll record it like measure by measure. And Daniel will like have notes like, okay, so I like that, but then maybe do it like a little more excited, and get like enthusiastic, and that's my Daniel Ingram impression. And yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a piece by piece thing, and we'll do 5 or 6 passes of each part, sometimes more if it's harder, sometimes less if it's easy, and then he'll put it all together and make it sound like we did it all at once because we're talented. Ha ha ha.
I feel like I should have a really good answer for this and drink water and, warm up your voice. But that never happens. I don't know. I normally scream in the car before getting in there, just so my voice is at least a little bit warmed up, because we'll normally do them in the morning. So my voice sounds bad in the morning because I haven't spoke yet. And then we'll go in there and hit it out. I don't really know what my process is. I think that's because I don't have a process. But normally I will make sure that I know the song before going in, which is very different than the actual script. At a certain point when I was a little bit older, I stopped reading the scripts before getting in there, and I would just show up, which is not very professional. But I did it anyway. But the songs, I made sure that I knew, because that is more difficult. And yeah, I didn't want to make anybody have a harder time than already trying to make me sing. That's my answer. Yeah.
Good answer.
Well, in the Netherlands, everything is a bit different. We never know what we're going to do when we go to the studio. So when I arrive, I see the script for the first time. I see the show for the first time. I don't see it in advance. We just start it and we work through it. So every sentence I see for the first time, I do it immediately, and then we do a new take for the next sentence. So it's very quick. And even with songs, you get to hear the song once or even sometimes twice, and then we record. So it's very important that you can train yourself to remember a melody very quickly, because you have to be very quick in the studio. Sometimes I can ask if we can record the song sentence by sentence, so that I can hear the sentence and then we can record it, and then the next sentence, if I think that will be faster, if it is a more difficult song. In My Little Pony, some songs are so beautiful, and I think it's very important to really listen to the exact melody, because sometimes you think you hear a certain melody, but if you listen more carefully, you hear a special tone or a special note somewhere that is more unexpected and makes it a little more beautiful. And so I try to put in as much care as possible, but it's very hard because we are under time pressure. Caring for my voice is very important, because I never know what we are going to do in the studio. I always prepare for singing, so I prepare by doing my voice training under the shower in the morning.
Professional. Yeah.
She does it the right way.
But that's because of my training at the conservatory, so that is part of my training. Then we just do our best to make it nice and have some fun in the studio. So.
Thank you. You're amazing singers.
Thank you very much.
Test. Yes, sweet. Thank you. To keep it fair, we'll just alternate between the two cues. So it's your turn next. Thank you.
Yes. My question is, now that the show is officially over.
What? When?
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers!
Yeah. What's next?
For us?
Yes.
Or
No, for you.
For the world.
how will the world move on without My Little Pony? I
It won't.
don't have the answer to
That's
that.
why there's a Generation 5 coming.
For you.
But for you personally, yes.
Okay, I guess, we're always kind of pushing for the next project. Even during My Little Pony, we're looking for the next thing. So for me, currently, I'm in the process of moving to Los Angeles, because I've been doing a lot of projects up there, and it just kind of makes sense to be living there. It's a process, trying to figure all that out. But the last project I worked on was Has Been Hotel, and there's a new movie coming out that I did with Steve Odekirk that I'm looking forward to everybody seeing. So that's what's next for me.
Well, recently, I actually did some dubbing for an anime show with a very long title. It's called Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Lifetime? Or Life. One of those. And that's kind of the most recent thing. And then there's a couple other things that I guess I'm not allowed to talk about, but they're not that fascinating. So that's really it. Yeah.
And for me, I'm doing this work as a voice actress for 20 years now. So in this time, it's already the next thing is always coming up. I always hope there will be a next thing, but I always have to do new auditions, and I have other roles that are still going on, like Velma in Scooby-Doo. Maybe you know that. It's very fun to do that. And I'm in Pokemon too as Sister Nurse Joy.
Oh yeah.
I love that part. So I have always shows that are going on, and at the moment I'm doing some new things which I can't talk about. That's a pity. So I always hope I get new parts, and I keep enjoying it, and I'm always thankful.
Do you do on-screen stuff too, or only voiceover?
Only voiceover.
Okay.
Yes. Do you think so?
Yeah.
I'm too old.
No.
Thank you so much for the question. Your turn, please.
Right. Claire, I know over time the voice cracks have been getting more difficult for you.
What are you talking about?
Which is understandable, of course, but can you still do them?
Okay, listen, here's the thing. So when this started happening, the voice cracks, they were like completely unintentional. I think they just happened, but then people were like, oh, you do this thing, and I was like, do I? So then I became aware of it, and then I realized at the time I was like 15 or like 14, I could still do it because I was still going through puberty. But now that that's over, I can't do it anymore on cue and in the pitch that it originally was in. But like I can still crack my voice, but it won't sound the same because I was like 10 or like 12 when that started happening.
Yeah.
So it's a little more difficult. I forget what your question was. I've been already rambling, but
I mean, you pretty much answered it.
Okay.
It was if
That's
you
the
can
story
still do
behind
them
it.
and
Do it.
yeah, I can't.
Do it.
What do I say? Wait, so give me a sentence to say. Otherwise, I'm stuck.
I really like her mane. That's a good one.
I really like your mane. See, it doesn't like no squeak involved.
Very
It
nice.
just sounds like I'm breaking my voice now. Like that's what it is. There's no squeak. Apologies.
It's better than you think it sounds.
Oh well, thank you.
I try to tell her that all the time. She's very
So
insecure.
cute.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
telling her.
Thank you.
Your turn, please.
Hello, this question is for Lisa. When it comes to voicing a character that has a very prominent English voice, do you try to match as close to it as possible, or maybe take your own spin on it?
Is it about the pitch and the sound of the voice, or the accent?
Just all of it.
The pitch, I would
Yeah.
say.
The pitch, yes. Yes, I always try to sound as much as I can like the original, but everybody has a different voice, so that's very personal. But I try to match it as much as I can because I think that is very important. But yes, your own voice is just how it is, so it has its limits.
Is it sometimes difficult to...
Sometimes
try-
it's difficult, but they cast you because you sound like the original voice, or they cast you because they think you match the character, even though you sound different. So in that case, they say make it your own, because sometimes I have done a few shows from the UK, and they were voiced by very yes, mature sounding voices, and although it were children that you saw in the show, so they told me you sound much younger than the UK voice, and try to sound young. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's a different approach.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your question.
Your turn, please.
First of all, I really love all of you guys' works in voice acting. My question is for Liz and Mijn. How are you able to get into the Dutch voice-over industry? Because I've looked it up, but it looks really difficult to get into
Yes,
it.
it's very difficult. When I was 3 years old, it was my wish to become a voice actress. I saw the movie of Snow White in the cinemas,
The Disney one, right?
the Disney one, and I was enchanted. I wanted to know, how do you create moving drawings? How is this happening? How is this technically possible? So I asked my mother, how do you create animations? And I wanted to learn to sing like Snow White, because I loved that was the old-fashioned old dub with the opera style voice, and I hadn't heard that kind of voice before. I always heard those children's songs, so I wanted to become a singer like that, and I wanted to learn how to animate. And from that moment on, I tried to become a voice actress and an animator. And it was so hard to come into the voice acting business. As a child, I wrote to the TV and I performed on TV. And I was my first performance. I was 8 years old, I think, that I performed on TV. But I didn't get the voice acting jobs. When I was in muziekschool, how do you say that? Music school? Yes, it's just music school. I went into the choir, and then there was someone from the television, and he was scouting, and then he chose me for doing classical singing for a movie, and I was so excited, and I did it. I never saw the movie. I never saw it. Yeah, I'm so curious, but and then I never heard anything about it again. And I tried to become a voice actress, and I tried and tried and tried. And then I went to Kinderen voor Kinderen, maybe the Dutch people know that. And then I got into the National Children's Choir of the Netherlands. And I wanted to sing, and I wanted to be in the cartoon business. And then I went, when I was 16 years old, I went to the conservatory in The Hague to study singing. And that was a special class for younger people, because your voice is not fully grown until you're, well, a bit older. So usually they start at 18, but I started at 16. And then when I was 20, I was performing in all those operas, but my heart wanted to do cartoons. And then was the magical moment. There was a show on TV, Show News. The Dutch people know it, the show. And they had a TV contest, and the main prize was to do the voice of a Disney character in The Little Mermaid 2. Yay! So I was like, oh, I need to do this. And the people at the conservatory were they didn't agree that I wanted to do this. So I had some very serious talks. And then I thought, this is my wish, I want to do this. And I won this show. And then my career finally started. So it was so difficult. I had to do so many things, and nothing helped me. And then through this TV show, I got in. But I know from other people, some people do, like you have stemacteren.nl. That's a website where it's via voice acting.
Fan-dubs? Do you mean fan-dubs?
No fan-dubs. No, the studios never look at fan-dubs.
Okay.
It's a world they don't know. I try to tell them about it, but they are looking at me like, huh? What are you talking about?
That's interesting. I'm obviously not going to interrupt you too long, but like, for instance, some of the voice actors on the German dub of My Little Pony have mentioned that they actually got their start with fan dubbing, and that the studios there actually did look at that.
That is very important.
It seems to depend on the country as well.
I think so. I think so, yes. So in the Netherlands, I think the best thing you can do is take singing lessons, take acting lessons, try to make a very good demo. So when you record a demo, it's very important that they can hear your actual speaking voice. Not like a cartoon style, but really your own voice. You introduce yourself in a serious manner. And then you can record like 3 types of styles, like reading a book, a commercial style, and maybe a sort of a cartoon style. And after that, a piece of singing. Don't make it too long. I'm talking for too long already.
No,
but
I'm actually very fascinated. It's a very different process than like Canada and America.
Oh wow, I would love to hear that. But so your demo has to don't make it too long. I think 2 minutes is like the best thing to go for. And if you can make it a bit funny maybe, so people are engaged and love to hear it, and yes, make it as good as you can, and then send it to everybody, and maybe send it by mail, because they get so many emails. You have to show that you how do you say that? Opvallen. You have to stand out. Yeah. So make it special for the studio to receive your demo. Like they are, whoa, what's this? We have to listen to this, because they get so many people who want to become a voice actor. So it's very difficult to get in.
Thank you very much.
I hope it helps.
That was a really good answer, so thank you.
Okay, I hope so.
I'm sorry if this is a bit of a basic question, but what is something you wish you knew when going into voice acting that you've learned by now?
Is that for all three of them?
Yes, all three of them.
So, something you wish you knew when you started, that you know now.
Oh my gosh, that's hard. Does someone have an answer off the top of their head? I have to think about it.
That's a good question, yeah?
That's a very good question.
That's not a basic question at all.
No,
That's
in
a
fact,
loaded question.
It is, because there's a lot. I'm trying to think of anything like in particular, because like there are certain things that I wish I knew, but that I feel only apply to me. So I'm kind of trying to look for like a universal.
That's very true.
I guess, right? Because I definitely have like the blanket advice, like don't expect, like anytime you do an audition, don't expect it to work. I'd say I book maybe 5% of the auditions that I go for, and I hear that those are actually good odds.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are things that I would warn myself of, I suppose. Like just be careful. Maybe when getting involved, when selecting a manager, when just be careful that you're not putting all your eggs into one basket. Because if that fails or if it doesn't work out, it can leave you kind of in a stranded position where you have to kind of figure everything else out again. Definitely try to diversify.
So how do you mean? You don't have to give a too concrete example if you're not comfortable, but like, do you mean I need more than one manager, or what does that mean?
Well, I just mean be careful with a manager. Don't give them too much power.
Okay. So not let that person decide everything for you.
Yes.
Is what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, because that can work out poorly.
Okay.
I would warn myself about that, I think.
Not fair. That's fair.
Do you have an answer?
Maybe. I don't know. Lots of people think you get very rich as a voice actress, but that's not true. So please be careful that you can do other things too. If you want to become a voice actor, you really need another job on the side, because you can't live off voice acting. So
the vast majority of cases, yes.
Yes.
That is true.
Okay. Very specific advice to myself. I would say this is the thing. I started when I was like 5, so I kind of didn't think about anything when I was 5 because I was 5. But I would, like, growing up, I would say, poop. I don't know. I would say poop. I would say poop. Thank you. Revolutionary advice. I would tell myself to focus on what I have in front of me. So, yeah, don't take anything for granted, because this entire fandom and everything happening was like the most unexpected thing on the planet for me. I knew, because my dad was also in the business, I knew that like there were fans for shows, but I really just thought it was anime. I don't know why, I just did. I was like, oh, it's for like Pokemon, and like that's it. Or like Star Wars. But then I was like, wait, there's so many fandoms of so many different types. So I guess in a way it's like semi-predictable, but like no one knows going into a show. You're like, this is gonna be a big show. Unless it's like, they're redoing SpongeBob, or like redoing like, I don't know, Pokemon or something. Like that's already a credit where you're like, oh, I recognize that name, and I might not know anything about it, but that's a big show. But for a new show, even My Little Pony, like I knew what a My Little Pony was when I was auditioning for it, but it wasn't like a fandom show yet. Or maybe it kind of was, but then it developed into one. So that was a long-winded sentence and a half to get to the point of to not take things for granted and to appreciate what I have. Not that I didn't, but it's just like a good reminder of like, you know, not everything lasts forever. So, you know, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you very much for that excellent question. Your turn, please.
Hello, guten Tag, hejsan hejsan.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Yeah, I will try to be quick. I have one question for Gabriel and another one for Clary and Lisa.
Wow.
So, Gabriel, my question... Don't worry, it's no dangerous question. My question to you is, you have two OCs, a griffin form and a pony form, and I was wondering, which one do you like more, or do you feel that this is more my favorite?
Yeah.
It's like picking your favorite child.
Yeah, that's easy though. No, I'm kidding. So I had this Griffin character that I designed when I was young, and that was long before My Little Pony. It was just something that I liked to sketch, and I liked to draw animals, and I liked Griffins, so I kind of liked creating my own characters, just for fun. So I came into the fandom with this Griffin character already, and then the pony character just came from people asking me when I started getting invited to conventions, how do you want to be represented in art? How do you want to be, you know, some of our artists can't draw griffins. That was like the first thing that I was told. And then Sabrina told me, oh, I want to sneak my friends' pony characters into the comics, but I can't sneak a griffin in there. So if you make yourself a pony OC, then I'll put you in the comics. I don't know if she ever ended up doing that. But, yeah, so I don't know. I feel more attached to the Griffin character because I've had it since I was very young. But the pony character is like a fun representation of the... So I don't know. I guess the answer is it depends, which is a really lame non-answer. I should be a politician. But, yes.
It's okay.
But, yeah, I think the Griffin is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had to pick. But I like the pony too, so...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. All right, before I ask my other question, I just want to say that Sweetie Belle is best pony in the show.
Thank you. I've been saying this for over 9 years now, roughly a decade. I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
No bias attached whatsoever.
No. And now to my question to you two, and that is, of all moments with the character that you have voiced in the show, which one is your own personal favorite one? Which moment? And if you have several, then just pick one of them.
Oh. My favorite moment of my character?
Yes.
Yeah,
oh,
of
okay.
Sweetie Belle.
Well, it's obviously all of them, so now I have to find one that stands out.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yes.
Oh, she knows. I'll think on it.
You probably know the yay moment of Fluttershy. I loved that so much. And besides that, the Vocalize song. I don't know if you know it, but I loved the Vocalize song. So that are my favorite moments.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give also a non-answer answer. It's between, like, all of the Cutie Mark Crusaders actually getting their cutie marks.
Yes.
And just that moment as a whole, which is a very big moment and long moment. And then also just any time that, like, I get to scream, I guess, because that was a lot of fun, and probably the 99 buckets of oats
I was
on the
gonna
wall.
ask, do you mean
that one was
because that was a lot of
intense.
screaming.
Which one?
That was a lot of screaming. That's why I was gonna ask about that.
The 99 buckets of oats?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the top screaming one. There's also one where I like cry or something, like I just wail. And it's like a scream, but it was very fun. It's still my favorite activity to do in daily life. So I like that the most.
I have a behind-the-scenes anecdote that you might not even know about involving her screaming.
Ooh.
So I'll
boy.
oftentimes would drive Michelle to her sessions because I was renting with the Creepers when I lived in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And many times, of course, she was in sessions with you. And the ISO booth where they record is isolated by foam padding and then an extra door. So it's you cannot hear anything that's going on in there. And I typically wouldn't hang out in the like kitchen green room area right outside of the studio. I would hang out in the lobby, in the waiting room, which is another room separated from the main room. And every once in a while I'd be sitting there minding my business, I would hear this. I was like, what is that? It sounds like a dog whistle. And it took me a couple sessions to realize that was you screaming. And it's the only thing I could hear.
Just like the slight, faint, like, child screaming.
Yeah, it was
like,
the only thing I could hear from the other room.
The only place that a child can scream and it's not in danger. That's what I was going to say. That's like the only place in a cartoon session booth.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you hear a child screaming, you should go help them.
Yes.
Thank you
I think you still need help.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your turn next, please.
Hello. This one is for Gabe.
Gabe.
Yes, for you. Exactly. Well, I didn't know you were a pilot, and as a hang gliding pilot myself, I would like to ask, what was your inspiration and when did your obsession with flying start?
Look at his face. You made him so happy.
So excited.
You made him so happy, Basky.
no one asks me about my flying ever. Okay.
See, I told them to.
Well, I get asked a couple of times always.
Yeah,
when I say,
dude,
See?
come to every
I'm a
convention.
pilot.
See, this is a good audience. I told them to do it, and they did it.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you. Okay, so my interest in flying started because my grandpa was a B-17 bomber pilot in World War II. And he wanted me to join the Air Force as a pilot. And my dad is also a private pilot. And he would fly Cessnas and Pipers. And he would take me up in his plane whenever he could. And we lived in Virginia, Maryland, South Dakota, Alaska, and Arizona growing up. So I got to fly around a lot of different areas. And sometimes he would even let me fly his plane. And I never finished my PPL because I joined the military before I did. But I got a decent amount of hours. And then I became a skydiver in the military, and that's when I started to enjoy like the open space of free flight and like ultralights, you know. I've never done hang gliding, but paragliding. I do a lot of paragliding, and the aircraft that I fly now is a paramotor. So I just, powered paragliding, which is the most, in my experience, haven't done hang gliding yet, but I hear it's similar, the most natural, like, and liberating form of flying. With the wing, so high above you, you're not really limited by how low you can go. And I'll kick the tops of trees when I fly. I took you flying twice.
I was really scared. But then after the first time, I kind of got nauseous when we landed. But then I think I was just very overwhelmed with the fact that I was literally flying. And then I was like, okay, I want to do that again.
So yeah, that's how I got into it. And I'm still doing it. And I hope I can keep doing it when I get to LA.
One follow-up question. I heard you got around pretty much in the whole of US when you were young. So any favorite flying spots you could recommend for someone who is doing hang gliding?
That is good. Now see, the thing is I don't, because I'm powered, I don't actually launch from typical sites. I don't have my P2. I don't have, even the ratings required to free fly and ridge soar and thermal. I would say some of the prettiest areas I've flown are definitely the desert. So any mountain, and then I also like shorelines. Shorelines are great because you have really laminar, wind, and the weather typically year round, especially on the West Coast, is just good 350 days out of the year. So I would say, anywhere along the California coast, really great places to fly in the U.S.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, so nice. Your turn next, please.
Yes, I have two questions for every voice actor.
For all three of them.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay. From every character that you ever have voiced, which one is your least favorite?
Okay. Least favorite character we've ever voiced, huh?
Oh, that's a toughie.
That is tough. I mean, I like all my characters in certain, you know. Yeah.
You have to pick one though.
I do have to pick one.
But you can also pick one from outside the fandom. That's also
Doesn't
okay.
need to be pony. It can be anything.
Yeah.
Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it would. Sweetie Belle would not be my answer anyway, if I was including it in. I gotta think. Hold on.
I have one. So I voiced, in Geronimo Stilton, I voiced two characters. One was named Mike, and the other, I don't remember his name. But Mike, in my audition, I just kind of talked high like this, and I was like, oh man, what's going on? Oh, hey, I'm Mike, yo. And then I got sick. And I got sick during my session, and my voice was shot the whole session, and it was insanely painful, and it was horrible, and he was a one-off character, so he never came back. So because I was sick, and voicing him was horrible, and because he was a new character in the show, and they thought they might bring him back, I had to do 3 pages of Walla afterwards that lasted for like 2 hours, and my voice was killing me. That was my least favorite character, but only because of the circumstances of the recording session. So yeah, Mike from Geronimo Stilton. That's my answer.
Okay.
No.
No, you don't have
It's a hard question.
Yes. I don't know. It's not like it wouldn't be an actual answer. Like I hated this character, but I mean, it's anything that would be really close to my normal voice. That's what I think because that's boring. Like I'm not in this job to sound like myself. Like I want to be masked by the fact that I don't have to sound like a version of me. But this is the thing. I don't think of the actual characters I've gotten that those are like the most annoying. I've had to do some pretty annoying auditions where there's just a lot of yelling involved, or sometimes swearing, which is very nice for probably the neighbors. I would say maybe I played one of Barbie's sisters, and like I don't want to say that because I like doing it, but that was the most basic voice that I've ever had to do, which was just really my voice. So it was kind of boring, but it wasn't. I don't hate it.
Just your least favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I just feel so thankful to do the voices I get to do. So I love it always, and I always say the day that I don't like this job anymore, I will quit because it's so important to love what you do, and especially if you get to do something that so many people would love to do. So it sounds really cheesy, but I love all my voices, all my characters. At the moment, I am doing a show where I am not really a good cast, I think, because it's a live action show, and the voice I'm doing is for a woman in her 60s. Well, I don't sound like a woman in her 60s. So, but even that is no problem for me because I enjoy it so much, and I just want to make it a nice show, and I try to make fun in the sessions. So, although I think, why did they cast me for this? I don't understand, but well, I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy watching this show myself. So. I get paid to watch TV. How is this life possible? So, yeah.
No, that works. Thank you.
Okay, final question. Because I had 2 questions actually. Okay. Which old generation villain do you want to see in Generation 5?
What do you mean about Generation 5?
Which characters we want to
No,
see?
no. My question is, which old generation villain, antagonist?
Villain. Okay, villain. Okay.
Yes. I don't speak very good actually.
The question is which villain you like to see in. Which old school villain would you like to see in?
Yes. Okay, now I get it.
Yes. Because
from the show?
Yes, from Generation 1, 2, or 3.
Discord.
Yeah, I've always liked Discord. That's my answer. I think all the other villains are The new villains are like, I have no time for them. I like Discord the most. I think he's the most, he stirs things up the most, and he's very complicated. So if they were to, put one of those in the Generation 5, I would like to see some form of like Discord. I think that'd be cool.
Me personally, I want to see one of the old villains from Generation 1, namely the lava demon Lavan. I want to see him back.
Okay.
No, really. Okay.
Thank you for your question.
That was
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you.
If I'm allowed to answer too, there's a G1 character that I really liked. If people remember who Katrina was, she was like this evil cat witch or
Hurricane?
something.
Hurricane Katrina?
No. That was like, I think that was her name. She
Hurricane
was like this
Tortilla.
evil cat witch in Generation 1 who enslaved like all of Pony Valley or something. It was very bizarre. But I thought she was
before I was born.
It was before I was born too. I do my research.
Whoa.
History.
Yeah. No, she was like really strange because obviously they had all sorts of anthropomorphic characters in the show, but I think she was the first straight up character that we would call like a furry today because she walked on 2 legs. She had kind of a weird shapely body. It was really strange.
That sounds really scary now. I really want to
I
see
want to
that.
look her up. I
Yeah.
bet it's Katrina spelled C-A-T.
And she literally, because she's a Catwoman, get it? It's a
Yep.
pun. It's a pun. And she literally like enslaves the ponies because she's addicted to some kind of weird substance that she needs the ponies to mine for her. It's a very strange story.
Breaking
In
Bad.
hindsight, you think, what was the 80s doing? Like, seriously. There's a lot of weird stuff in the 80s cartoon where people think, it was all just cutesy tea parties. No, seriously.
Oh.
They had way more...
This is scary.
Yeah, she's really scary looking. They're just looking this up on Google. You should all Google her. She looks scary as heck, seriously. And like a lot of people think the 80s show was all just cutesy. Actually, they did way more adventure episodes than Generation 4 did. Like every other episode was like a multi-parter about how Pony Valley was going to be destroyed by something. It happened a lot.
That's bizarre.
And she was one of the villains that I thought would be really funny to bring back because I'd like to see how they would reinterpret that. And they did that with some of the villains. They didn't do it with her, so maybe with G5. So that's my nerdy answer that nobody asked for. There you go.
Cool.
Yes.
We can
Okay, just
power
to-
through these last questions.
Yep, these questions I just wanted to say, please don't queue anymore. We want to make sure we get things wrapped up on time, so the people who are in the line now will still get to ask their questions. But then we're finished for questions. That work? Is that okay?
Yep.
Sweet. So it's your turn, please.
Okay. My question. My question is.
Is it for all 3 of them? Or?
Yes. Now that the show's over, you can probably comment on the things the fandom has created.
To a degree, yes.
Yes. What are your most favorite artworks, things, memes the fandom has created that stuck with you for a while?
You know, I'm really weird in this instance because I started out like doing fandom related stuff, and then when I started working on the show, they told me you can't do directly fandom related stuff anymore. And then they also told me, but you also can't work on the show anymore because you're like fandom related. So I was like in this weird, horrible limbo middle ground thing for like years. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But the first thing that pops into my head is the song Lullaby for a Princess. There was something really, really unique about it. Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. And then But there's been so much. I mean, you know, just it goes across so many different like areas. Like Friendship is Witchcraft was hilarious, just that dubbing stuff. Yeah. You know, then like fan fictions like Fallout Equestria, just a lot of really, really clever stuff. Yeah. So the fandom is the whole reason I was interested, like initially curious about the show to begin with. So it's hard to pick one thing.
Yeah.
But again, non-answer.
I don't
Claire's
know.
face.
I'm really trying to think because all the songs, I mean, when they first came out, like they were stuck in my head. The ones that I had to sing, obviously. But I would come to conventions and I would find myself like in the arena of like bronies. And so My Little Pony was in my head. And so I would start humming these songs. I was like, which song is that? And like one time I turned over to Michelle and she's like, that's the one that's not out yet. And I was like, oh, never mind then. And I don't think anyone heard it because we were around a bunch of kids and like they don't remember anything. So I was safe, but I would like start like humming and like singing the songs that we would do. And I was like, dang, that's a really good song. And like I wasn't supposed to do that. So, but you know, no one caught me, so it's fine.
Now, my question was more about the fandom related items.
That's the thing. I don't know if I have any memes that I'm like, I mean, I like the soon memes. I like all the soon memes. I feel like I still use that as like a gift to send to people. And then on top of that, also, Sweetie Bot is pretty cool. I saw like a physical embodiment of Sweetie Bot. I don't know where.
Project. Woo.
But it was, I think that, was that in Germany? Then?
Yes.
Okay.
The team is, I think, from Russia, but they came visiting to Germany.
That was really cool. I feel like I just have like a lot of, I don't know if there's anything like fandom specific that, I mean, I remember like everything. Like
She loves Immortal, the album Immortal. She just really likes
Oh,
that.
yeah, that came from this show. Oh, that's why you're, okay. Yeah, I have to, the music and the remixes. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Music and remixes. I use a lot of remixes in like random vlogs and stuff, and putting the songs towards the videos.
Pudding.
Those are really cool. Yeah.
I really can't choose because there's so much creativity going on, and there's so many cool jokes and funny gifs and funny music remixes and fan dubs, and everything is so cool. I can't possibly choose. It's so much.
It's more about a general question. Which ones are coming to your head? Which are?
Can you think of an example?
The rap. What was it called? Was a funny. I don't know the title. Yeah. Sorry. I'm very shy in real life, and it's like, oh my god, I'm in front of a stage now.
You're doing fine. Don't worry about it. You're doing fine.
Brain freeze.
It's fine. You're doing great. Thank you for the question.
Great question.
Your turn, please.
Question for Gabriel. What was the convention you enjoyed performing the most?
Which convention did you enjoy performing at the most? Okay. Choose your answer carefully.
Yeah, exactly,
because
right?
There might be people representing
certain conventions.
in the room.
Yeah, in the room. Okay. See, that is also a really hard question to answer because there are different
diplomatic answers.
All right, I'm just going to be completely honest. I don't care whose toes I step on. In terms of like performance, BronyCon is hard to beat because their stage and their lights and their screens and their like just the general venue, you feel like a rock star. It's insane. But I also like more intimate crowds because I feel like I can connect with the people. So that is kind of like asking who's your favorite child because there's so many certain things. I'm going to say Galacon is awesome because it was one of the biggest, seriously though, like one of the biggest groups of people that I performed for who, like outside of the military, who didn't speak, my language natively or like as their first language, but still knew the lyrics to my songs that I wrote in a different language. It was very surreal. So that was very cool. And I'm really looking forward to performing here too for kind of the same reason. It's neat to have a following that extends beyond even my country. That's just exciting. So yeah, that's a hard question to answer. I hope that did it justice a little bit.
Awesome,
Thank you, Gabe.
It appears you have the honor of the final question.
That's interesting. I didn't know that would be the last one.
Make
My
it
question
good.
is also for Gabriel. So that's a coincidence. Yeah, I was wondering because you are involved with the fandom way before being involved with the show. So you already mentioned that it was a very hard thing at first. My question actually has to do with that. I was wondering, how did you get involved with the show in the first place? I know you had contact with the Creer family for the music and everything, but how did it turn into a professional thing?
So I was already doing music and acting professionally long before I was a fan of the show. So that made that transition a little bit easier. The first person to reach out to me from the show side of things was actually not the Creevers, it was Tabitha St. Germain. She saw some of the work that I was doing on YouTube just for fun, because I found the fandom fascinating and interesting, and also it was a fun challenge. I can learn how to flash animate, I can learn how to produce, I can learn how to use vector art and Inkscape, which I still use. And she said, you should be doing this professionally after you get out of the military. And I was like, oh, okay, well. So she convinced me to come to Vancouver and give it a try, and that's kind of when the Creevers stepped in and were like, oh, well, you can, we have a spare room, you can rent with us, and Monique, offered to manage me, and some of that worked out, some of it didn't, but ultimately, it was just a matter of transitioning, becoming a Canadian permanent resident so I could legally work in Canada. That was probably the hardest part. That took about a year, it cost about $10,000, and I had to basically prove to the Canadians that I wasn't coming there to steal Canadian work, that I could support myself. Right. But so that, it was really just, that's what it was about, taking my professional credits and moving it into the Canadian realm. And honestly, my involvement with the fandom actually made me do a lot less work than I would have probably been able to had I just gone straight to Vancouver and started working, because there were people on the show side or the production side who were very uncomfortable with the idea of a fan working on their show. And that actually is something that I wasn't even allowed, well, not allowed, but I avoided saying, because I didn't want to make people, oh, what the heck's going on? But I feel like now it's safe to say there were certain individuals on the show side who, when they found out that Daniel Ingram specifically was hiring me to do music stuff, told him you can't hire him anymore because of his affiliation with the fandom. So it actually ultimately ended up hurting me more than helping me, my involvement with the fandom. But I am still thankful for the involvement, because I've learned a lot from that whole process. So that is kind of how it happened, and a little bit more of what happened, which I guess a lot of people don't know. So yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't heard it before.
Yeah, no one has.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the performance as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's all we have time for right now, but thank you so much for our screening staff. Thank you so much, all of you, for your awesome questions. And of course, please, a big applause for our fantastic guests.
Thank you, guys. You had great questions.
We hope to see you for the upcoming events.
Where are we going
main panel here will be the cosplay show, if I'm not mistaken, so you look forward to that. Thank you.